So, welcome back. I had taken a little break on my Motivation Mondays, but I've decided to pick it up. I mean, the holidays are kind of winding down. We still have New Year's to get through, and I will have a video coming up on New Year's. I don't know if it'll be New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, but my thoughts on 2020, how that went, what my plans are for 2021, and of course my good wishes to you guys. And I have a whole series of Motivation Mondays having to do with success here. So this is just my little introduction today. And you can see I'm not outside. Normally I'm outside when I do my videos. It's a little too cold. I can't do it. So I apologize for the lighting. I apologize for the point of view. I'm kind of just patching things together here to get it done, because I'm going to talk about success. I'm actually going to have a whole series of them on my Motivation Mondays on what is successful, because excuse me, my goodness, I'm not really content with the definition of success right now. And so if you're wondering, you can probably guess what it is. But the dictionary describes success in terms of what you have monetarily, and your monetary or financial value. And I don't like that definition. I'll tell you, I had something happen a few months ago, actually. It's been a few months ago. I don't have a car. I haven't had a car in about 3 months. And, I have a cleaning business, and I also have an eBay store. And being able to get around, it would be nice to have a car, but somehow I have managed in the last 3 months to be able to pay my bills and maintain. So anyway, that's happened. It's not the way I want it to be, but it's my current reality. Now, I bring this up for you to feel sorry for me, because there's a lot of things that happened in 2020 besides that, where I could feel sorry for myself, but that's not the point. The point is, I was telling a friend of mine about this, and I don't like the response that I got from her. And I know she was trying to be nice, but I was telling her, what happened and where I am, my situation. And she said to me, well, you tried. You tried really, really hard. Kroger's hiring. And it really made me mad that she said that. I know she was trying to be nice. And I know she's, thinking about my best interest. But she does not understand my life. And I think the thing that really made me mad was basically she implied that I had failed. Not necessarily through any circumstances of my own, just that I had failed. And my first gut reaction is, nobody gets to decide if I failed except for me. I'm not doing anything illegal or immoral as far as, how I make my income and how I support myself and my family. So you don't get to decide when I fail. And there's a reason why I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to work for me, and I have my reasons for that. And I also have my reasons for the things that I do, which I can go into it another time. That's just a whole other video. But I started thinking about what is the real definition of success. So I want to do a series on that, and I'm just going to kind of recap. I've got 19 different parts of what I think being successful is. And it involves a lot of different areas of our life. It's not all about money, and it's not all about having things. So I'm going to go down this little list, and then each week I'm going to go more in depth with each one of these things. So the first one is do your best. The very first thing to being successful is do your best. And I think this is important, because being successful is not necessarily the end result, and the end result is not necessarily the be-all, do-all. Being successful could be a process. So doing your best today may be even better tomorrow. So do your best is the first thing on my list of things that contribute or define success. Number 2, setting concrete goals. So this again goes back to that process. And setting concrete goals, that means learning to set goals that are reachable and having a plan on how you're going to reach those goals. And that again is a process. You do it step by step by step by step, and it's ongoing, and you reevaluate, etc., etc., etc. So I'll talk about that. Having a place to call home. I do want to elaborate on this more in my, and it'll be in about 3 weeks, but on that particular aspect of being successful. Now, I live in a very modest home. As you can see, there's nothing behind me. My house is very small. I have one bedroom, a very small kitchen, and a living area, and a tiny bathroom that only one person can fit in. I don't even have a bathtub. I live very, very modestly, and yet I have a home. And I know that not every person has a home, like a house or an apartment. But, for a while we lived in a camper. And just to give you perspective, and I'll elaborate maybe more on this story, but when I lived in Baltimore, I used to ride the light rail. It's just a subway that went back and forth between Timonium and BWI, the airport. And there's a lot of homeless people in Baltimore, and I would see these little cities, and I'd see people sleeping on the sidewalks in different places. But especially in the wintertime, a lot of people would get on that light rail, and they'd stay on there all day long. They paid $1.60, and they'd go back and forth all day long. And that was their home for the day. They were out of the weather. They were in a relatively safe place. So, even though they were homeless, they found a safe place to be during the course of the day. So, they were successful. Understanding your needs and wants. Do you need this or do you want it? And giving it a reasonable, rational, realistic point of view on what your goals are and your things that you need, or do you really just want it? Believing that you can. See, here's the thing. The lady that I was just telling you about, she doesn't believe that I can. Not only does she not understand, but she doesn't believe that I can. And a lot of people don't believe that I can. And you might know somebody or might feel that way yourself. You don't believe that you can. And it doesn't really matter what other people believe. It's what do you believe? And I believe I can. I just haven't gotten there yet. You see what I'm saying? But I can, and I will, and it's a walk and a journey. And of course there's going to be setbacks and failures and things that get in my way and obstacles and struggles and all that. That's part of it. Nothing's going to be an easy trip. You have to go through those obstacles and those trials and things that feel like failures so that you can learn and grow. So I believe I can. I'm just not there yet where I want to be. And then how about this one? This one's a little different, a different perspective. Balancing work with passion. Usually you hear balancing work-life or work-life balance. And I think that's a thing maybe if you work with somebody else or for somebody else, maybe is a better way to say it, because they own part of your time, that time that you spend at an employer. But for somebody like me, balancing work with passion. So my life is my work, if you can understand that. So here's this YouTube video and all the other videos I have on my YouTube channel. And my house, maybe I'll give you a tour of the house someday. Believe me, I don't live in a mansion. I live very, very, very modestly. In the area that is our dining area, that's where my eBay store is, and that's where I keep my cleaning supplies and tools for my cleaning business. So our house is not a house that you would bring people in to entertain. Not that you're not welcome in my house. You could come into my house. If, I'm not ashamed to have people come in my house. But I don't have all this glorious, luxurious stuff in my house. My house is shelter and a workspace. It really is. That's my life. So balancing work with your passion. My light went out. I do apologize. Let me see if I can get it to come back on. I don't know what happened here. Oh God, we had a power failure. See what I mean? Stuff happens. So the power's back on. I don't remember where I left off. Let's see. I think I was balancing work with passion. So anyway, yes. Wow. I couldn't have planned that if I wanted to. Balancing work with passion. Let me get back in my mojo. Okay, here we go. Taking care of your needs. This is personal. Taking care of your own personal needs. this is a problem a lot of women have. I don't know. I can't say so much for men. I guess men too, but taking care of your needs. Are you eating properly, resting properly, etc., 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 etc. So if you're managing to do that, maybe you're being successful. And sometimes saying no, sometimes saying no is being successful. When you're not spreading yourself too thin and you're not doing things that aren't beneficial to getting you where you want to be, saying no might be actually being successful. Maybe saying no is being successful if you're the type of person who has different types of addiction problems. And saying no might be really, really hard for you. So saying no. Knowing that your life is filled with abundance, gratitude, and just accepting the gifts that you have, the way that your needs are being met, and we're going to continue on with all of these. So there's so much more to say about that one. Not keeping what you can give away. There's a principle here of you reap what you sow, and paying it forward. And really that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. So as I'm learning and growing, I'm also trying to give it back out into to you, of course, but also into the world, and just putting out those good vibes, and hopefully it will come back to me, not in a greedy sense. I mean, I hope not, I want to keep my attitude right, but you get what you give. Overcoming fear. If I had listened to this woman, and there's a lot of things that she brought up in this conversation. What would happen to you? What if something happens? What if something happens to me? The power just went out 2 seconds ago, or however many, lots of things happen. That's part of life. Things happen, and to sit here and constantly be afraid, that's not healthy, for one thing. But to overcome those fears. So sometimes, what if I fail? Well, what if you do fail? And you pick yourself back up and you try again and you try again. There's so many things to be afraid of, and fear is what paralyzes us. It's that fight or flight. Are you going to fight, or are you going to flight? Are you going to freeze? The deer in the headlight story, they just stand there. And if you don't step on the brake, you're going to hit the deer. That's not really, when they could have run, right? So anyway, learning something new every day. How important is that? I'm an older person. I'm 57 years old. I'm not that far away from retirement or retirement. But I still want to keep my mind going. And I can tell that things aren't the way they used to be as far as my mind. There are things that I forget, and I don't know if it's because I've just got so many things going on in my brain right now, or is some of it because I'm older. There are some things that I just don't remember the way I used to. So, but you want to learn something new every day. It keeps you growing. In a lot of ways, not just your mental, the physical part of your brain, but your emotional, your mental, your intellect, your physical. If you're learning things, you have to learn things. You have to keep learning and growing. Losing a few battles, I've been talking about this, losing a few battles can help you actually win the war. Thomas Edison was criticized because it took him 150 or something different tests to find out how to make a light bulb. And somebody accused him of being a failure, and he's like, no, I learned 150 or whatever the number is different ways not to make a light bulb. But having a few failures and losses along the way can help you actually come out stronger in the end. So it's not always a bad thing. Okay? Loving and being loved back. This is probably the most important thing on this list, really. Loving and being loved back. Because, it's just past Christmas. We all know the story about Scrooge. And, he was a miser. He held on to every penny that he had, but nobody wanted to be around him. That he was not a lovable person. And thankfully, in that story, he learned, to be loving and to be more generous. And you know, that's really what our lives are about, is loving and being loved back. So we'll talk more about that one too. Standing your ground when you believe in something, and that can be really hard, but there people have suffered for what they believe in. Women have the right to vote now because women stood out in front of the Capitol and the White House, and they stood up for what they believed in. People have been arrested and killed for what they believe in. So that can be scary, but hopefully in your day-to-day life you don't necessarily have to face those extreme things, but yes, you want to stand up for what you believe in. So if you think somebody's being picked on at school and you don't think it's right, stand up for that person. Or if there's something going wrong at your job and you think that it's unsafe or unwise or whatever, stand up for it. There's a lot of things that we can stand up for. People right now are taking a stand, actually, in the United States anyway, about things that they just don't think is right. And hopefully in the end we'll get some things ironed out and things will be better for everybody. And not giving up. And that was the main thing that this lady was trying to tell me, is basically give up. Give up. Don't try to find a solution. Don't find another way. Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up. My limit's almost used up. But don't give up. Celebrating small victories. Never letting a disability hold you back. I got a lot to say about that one. And understanding that you control your destiny. You control your destiny, not your friend, not your spouse, not your children,